Hey everybody, it's Chris, and I want to talk about something that I want to talk about for a while now. So last week I made a video. It was called Anime Debate, and you guys really responded well to it, so I'm going to do another one. This one is still with Dragon Ball Z, but it's Dragon Ball Z versus Dragon Ball. Now, if you don't know, Dragon Ball is a series that preceded Dragon Ball Z. In my opinion, Dragon Ball was a superior series. Dragon Ball featured Goku as a child, and you didn't know that he was a Saiyan yet, and all you knew is that he was this really strong kid with a tail, and he was different. He had to collect the Dragon Balls and went on adventures, and he made friends, and it was very heavily based on storytelling and not so much on fighting. Fighting was a part of the show sometimes, but most of it was an adventure series, and I watched every single episode. I remember when Netflix was still fairly new, and you could get the DVDs and the streaming. So I get all the DVDs of Dragon Ball. I watched every episode, and I loved it. Like, oh my god, it was so good. And it even like filled in some holes for me that were opened up when Dragon Ball Z started, because Dragon Ball was actually the first anime I ever saw, but they only showed the first like 13, 14 episodes, and they kept looping it, and then they never completed the series. And then later they would just, for some reason, just picked up with Dragon Ball Z, and they kept looping this series up until the beginning of the Frieza saga. So when Dragon Ball Z started, all you knew is they didn't like Piccolo, and you didn't know why they didn't really like Piccolo. You just knew that Piccolo was a bad guy. He just showed up. You didn't know the connection with any of the characters, and literally Dragon Ball fills all those holes, and it's amazing. Like to me, Daimyo, I can't really pronounce it correctly, but Piccolo, or Piccolo's father rather, or Piccolo's first incarnation, I don't know how to really explain it correctly, but the first Piccolo is one of the best villains of all time. Like, when Piccolo was evil, Piccolo was freaking evil, and it was incredible. And there's just so many great arcs, the Red Ribbon arc, and you see like why Goku's a great character, because while he was a kid, it was really cute that he was dumb. Like, it was I remember like when the show first started, he didn't understand that girls and boys were different, and he goes and like pats Bulma's crotch. He's like, hey, where's your penis? And it was so funny. Now you fast forward to Dragon Ball Z, and Goku's, you know, an adult but still dumb because he didn't go to school, and it's more like sad than anything else, because, you know, he spent all this time training to be a martial artist and fighting and everything, and he didn't take any time to learn how to read or read books, and no one's thought that, hey, maybe we should teach this kid how to read. And now he's like an adult that's like only semi-functioning. And it's just sad. And in Dragon Ball, there's a big emphasis on martial arts and being able to fight in technique. And like the martial arts tournaments were like the best part of the show. It was so good because you didn't know who was gonna win. There was no guarantee that Goku or anyone else was going to beat anyone, because everybody fought like real people fight. And even like the body types, like Goku had like a regular body. It wasn't like this hulking mass that's ridiculous. And you just really like could relate to the characters more. And again, I'll say again with Dragon Ball, the story was like hook, line, sinker. It was there. It was good. It shed a lot of light on different things. The characters were very developed. Like, I feel like Goku grew a little bit. Old school Krillin, child Krillin is amazing. Adult Krillin sucks. You know, like child Krillin was cocky and funny and sarcastic, and adult Krillin's just kind of vanilla. It's like, oh, Goku. But like kid Krillin was like freaking funny. Like, he was actually rivaling Goku for a good part of the show, and you actually believe that it could have happened. Like, it was so much of a better dynamic than what they have now. They're just best friends, because they were growing up, they weren't really best friends. It took time to develop that, and when it developed, you really felt it. And that's what I mean about the shows. Like, I feel like with Dragon Ball Z, the only character that really got any kind of development was Vegeta. Like, from, you know, his introduction throughout the show, Vegeta changed the most. Vegeta learned the most. Vegeta, you know, like grew the most as a character. Everybody else just kind of stayed the same. In Dragon Ball, though, the characters, you saw them visibly become different and become better as time went on. When Yamcha was introduced, he was scared of girls. Like, it was a comic relief thing. He was scared of girls, and he couldn't talk to me, freak out. And then, like, after a while, he actually was able to develop a relationship with Bulma, because he learned to be comfortable with that kind of deal. And it was just crazy to me that, like, Dragon Ball Z lost all of that and replaced it with screaming. Like, again, Dragon Ball Z is a great show. I really enjoy it, and it was good for what it was. But if you compare it to what came before it, it's a sad, sad thing. Like, they started out still telling stories like when Goku died and went on Snake Way. Like they started out telling those same stories they did with Dragon Ball. Like when Goku went to the Home for Infinite Losers, or Hell, because you know that's what Funimation did. When he went there, you still saw elements of what made the show great, but it just freaking fell off all kinds of rails. All the rails fell off and it's broken now. And even with the movies, like some movies are good, but I've heard rumors, and I'm gonna go watch the movie in theaters. But the Lord Bill's movie, The Battle of the Gods, I've heard is a bit of a mess. I'm excited to see it though, but I'm hoping that they do something in this movie to tie it in so it's more like Dragon Ball and less like Dragon Ball Z. I'm saying we can have the battles. Let's have the epic battles. Let's have the great fights. You know, I want to see that. But I also want to see them really tell a good story and really develop these characters the way they're meant to be developed. And yeah, man, like I will just throw out there that if you've never seen Dragon Ball, you definitely should. Like you absolutely should. And the thing is, Dragon Ball GT, if you've ever seen that, people hated it, right? Because it came off of Dragon Ball Z, where Dragon Ball GT was trying to recapture the magic of Dragon Ball initially. You know, they wanted to do that storytelling arc, and people were like, this isn't what I signed up for. I want more fighting and more dumb stuff. If you really like watch Dragon Ball GT though, it's a slightly worse Dragon Ball, but it's not that bad. You just have to like realize that they're telling a story. The problem, however, is that they don't have the development pieces that they normally had in Dragon Ball when the show first started. It's just not there. Which is why when the second half of the series started, they went back into the fighting thing. That's what everybody wanted to see, and they were doing better with that. And yeah, just gonna throw it out there that maybe you can give Dragon Ball GT a slightly better chance after you see Dragon Ball first. And I'm telling you, you're going to love. I'm telling you, love Piccolo as a true villain. Like it made me kind of like a little bit sad that he's not a villain anymore because he was so good at it, you know? If you watch Dragon Ball Evolution, they played around with it a little bit, which is why, like, I'm gonna do a video about this eventually, but Dragon Ball Evolution isn't that bad. It's bad. It's pretty bad. It's awful. But it's not that bad because they at least touched on some of the elements that made Dragon Ball great. All right, so let me ask you guys, have you ever seen Dragon Ball, the series that precedes Dragon Ball Z? Let's talk about it down below. Which series do you think is better? What improvements could Dragon Ball Z do to make itself a stronger series if they redid it? Let's just say that in a weird world where they're going to reboot Dragon Ball Z. What would you like to see in that rebooted series? Also, are you gonna see Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods? Let's talk about all that Dragon Ball-ness down below. Your wish is granted. It's just tough because I feel like they're like almost not the same show. Because I feel like Dragon Ball Z is a pure fighting series, pretty much towards the end of it. And Dragon Ball was an action adventure series where you actually, you know, went on an adventure. Like, I just feel like the fact that everyone became overpowered, it just lessened and cheapened the show. Like, they should have kept the element available where there's always someone that could be stronger, you know, like, I get it with the movies and stuff, they do that every now and again, but it's not believable. You always think Goku's gonna win. You don't really have any like sense of suspense, and I feel like that's something that just gets lost in the show. Like, I think that in a way, Dragon Ball Z just lost its spirit. I don't know if Akira Toriyama like just got lazy with his writing all of a sudden. Because I know it follows the manga pretty closely. I don't know if he just got lazy and didn't want to tell any more stories, just wanted to like have like, you know, exposition and battles. But he did such a good job at the first half. I don't understand why you would, you know, lose it all for the next part.